Mhm. All right, y'all. So I wanted to do this now before I go take my walk. About a week or two ago, I posted a rage bait post for the fitness enthusiasts. I used a picture of an actual Olympic sprinter, picture of an actual Olympic um, speed walker, and said, stop saying that running doesn't burn fat because you're too lazy to walk. Because you're too lazy to run. Stop saying that walking burns fat over running because you're too lazy to run. So, post got a little, sideways, people trying to prove me wrong, and that's normal in Facebook society. But now I'm putting my professionalism hat on and explaining to you all what's what. Um, Took a minute to tag a couple people because they wanted to be included in this and see, how this goes. And let me get started. All right, first things first, right? The first thing first is there's two things that starts here that you have to change. The first thing is your mentality of saying you're old. This isn't about age. Age actually doesn't have as much to do with things as people perceive. What does that mean? That means that if you're eating properly 80% of the time, um, your body is going to have the proper nourishment to be able to do things at 70, 80 years old that the average 70 or 80-year-old won't be able to do. If you are exercising regularly, you'll be able to do things at 70, 80 years old that the average 70, 80-year-old will not be able to do. What that says is we just simply do not eat right. Um, the obesity rate in America speaks to that. The amount of fast food joints and, food places in general and how much money generated in that business speaks to that. So, first thing is change your mindset. This isn't about age. The second thing is change your mindset of what I can and can't do. Like, time and time again, there's always this issue of insecurity. I know that's a trigger word for some, but when you start questioning if you can and can't do something, that's an insecurity. It is what it is. It's not saying that you are insecure, but that's an insecurity. You have to get over that. You have to tell yourself, I can, and take the proper steps necessary to build up to that. Okay. So once you change your mentality on those two things, then you'll understand what I'm getting ready to tell you the rest of the way. So walking versus running, which one is better? Running. Running is king. Running is the epitome of optimal health and cardiovascular exercise. There's nothing better than running. Are there alternatives for people that have injuries? Of course. Walking is an alternative. Swimming is an alternative. The elliptical is an alternative. The arc trainer, which used to be my favorite, is an alternative. Cycling is an alternative. But nothing, I repeat, nothing, all things being healthy, is better than running. Running is king. Now, walking is a predecessor to running. You have to crawl before you walk, as we tell babies when they grow up, right? Crawl, then stand up, then walk. That's a process. So, walking is a predecessor to running. Once you build up enough stamina to where you can walk and you're not sore, you can walk and you're no longer hurting. You can walk and your cardiovascular system starts to feel stronger, meaning you're breathing better, you're not as congested, there's no force in taking deep breaths, things of that nature. Then you can start taking the steps into walking. Now, where does this get tricky? It gets tricky with the middle element that nobody talks about. That middle element between walking and running is jogging. So, depending on how fast you walk, could be equivalent to jogging from a calorie burn standpoint and a fat burn standpoint. So here's where this gets tricky. Side note, what made me decide to talk about this is I see time and time again too many bodybuilders specifically posting statuses about walking burns more fat than running and blah, blah, blah. And it's bodybuilders are going to kill me for saying this, but bodybuilders don't like cardio. Bodybuilders like to lift weights. Bodybuilders like to drink pre-workouts. Bodybuilders like to drink their protein shakes. Bodybuilders like to eat their eggs. They don't like cardio. So walking is much easier. Walking does put less pressure and strain on the joint. But even with that, there's other variables. What are those other variables? What's your body fat percentage? How strong are the muscles that surround and protect the joint? Those are your shock absorbers for when you do start to jog and when you do start to run. If all you're doing is running, pretty soon your body is going to break down. You have to lift weights. Do you need to lift weights to get on stage in a Speedo? No, you don't. Do you have to lift weights to become an NPC, professional bodybuilder? No, you don't. You have to lift weights to have proper, healthy body fat percentage. You have to lift weights to have proper balance in muscle and fat composition in your body. But most importantly, you have to lift weights to have the lean muscle mass needed to not just protect the joints, but to force your fluid to circulate throughout the body, force your nourishment once you eat properly to circulate throughout the body, force your cells to circulate throughout the body. That's what lean muscle mass is for. That's its primary function. Now, all of that needed to be said for you all to understand that this is real simple. When you watch people compare walking to running, they're using this walking on a incline of 12 and on a speed of 3 on a treadmill. The average person has to build up to that. You're not walking at an incline of 12 with a speed of 3 for no more than 5 minutes if you're just starting this. So trying to compare that to running on a flat surface, of course you can make the argument that the walking is better. But if you're walking on an incline of 12 and a speed of 3, and you're running on an incline of 12 but a speed of 5, now we're comparing apples and apples. And now we're seeing that running is actually better. So to shorten this up, because I don't want to take too much of your time, I want you guys to be able to watch this, read this, ask questions in the comments, double back to me later on today, because I'm going to go do my walk. Running burns more fat and more calories in less time. Period. Walking has the potential to burn more fat because there's no rest when you're walking. A person maybe can walk for an hour straight at their own pace. Walking that amount of time straight at their own pace has the potential to burn more fat because when you're running, taking breaks. I'm going to stop, recoup, catch a breath, go back. So that's where all that comes from. But again, running is king. All things being healthy, there's nothing better than running. Anybody that tells you different just simply doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm going to stand on that. Again, I repeat, if you have any ailments, there are alternatives to running. Walking is an alternative. Swimming is an alternative. Cycling is an alternative. Elliptical or arc trainer are alternatives. Those are things that you use if you have ailments or you have reasons that you cannot run. Those reasons typically are doctor diagnosed, not self-diagnosed. So take your ass to the doctor. Let the doctor tell you what's wrong and what you cannot do at the time. Then you build up to where you can get back to doing it. Personally, 2003, my right ankle was shattered. Car accident. Doctors told me I would never be able to run again. I got to the point where I ran every day for 10 years. Doctors changed their tune and it was, don't stop running because then you're going to have to do it. Well, I stopped running. The only thing I did was gain 80 pounds. So what you want to do is you want to learn where your starting block is and what you want to get to. What is your end goal? What's your mission? What's your accomplishment? And then you focus on the journey of taking those steps to get there. So hope that helps. Again, I'm going to go do my walk. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. I can answer them while I'm walking because I won't be breathing heavy and I won't be speed walking to the point where I'm switching. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first episode of H.U.M.A.N. H.U.M.A.N is going to be my health and wellness podcast where I'm going to sit and discuss certain things and debunk some myths that's been going around social media from majority of fitness influencers throughout social media and educate you guys so you know what you need to do, especially those over 45. Because once you're over 45, your body no longer generates muscle cells. All you have is what you have. You have to use it to improve your quality of life. If you don't use it, you lose it, and you decrease your quality of life going forward. That's that. See y'all soon.